I'd like to address the difference between thinking non-duality and living non-duality. Because in my experience, those are two vastly different things. And the main difference is that theoretically, non-duality can be pretty dull. It can almost like reduce aliveness. But when it's lived embodied non-duality, that's like the fountain of love, of truth, of freedom, aliveness. And if we stay in the absolute, we miss all of that. We miss all the things that non-duality point to. So just a quick recap or summary. If you're new to non-duality, it basically suggests that we share our consciousness with everyone and everything. The whole world is made out of one universal consciousness. In that sense, I, as a human being, don't really exist in and of my own. I am a manifestation of the universal oneness. We come out of consciousness, we manifest as consciousness, and then we go back to consciousness. And in that, nothing can really be created and nothing can really be destroyed. I cannot drop out of consciousness. I cannot add anything to it in sense of like, ultimately, everything I ever create is part of consciousness. All my opinions, all my ideas, just the dance of universal consciousness. And I would say that ontologically, I fully agree, or like ontologically as in the origin of everything is universal consciousness. But that is all the mind's work. Thinking about this ends up in there's nobody here, there's nothing to do, or do whatever you want, nothing matters anyway. And that can easily be like, it doesn't really matter if I care. Suffering doesn't really matter. In the end, it's all just consciousness. But I would suggest that that is just consciousness on the mind's level. That's a limited understanding of non-duality. Embodied non-duality, on the other hand, or like when that understanding gets to penetrate all the layers of us, or this manifestation, through our hearts, through the way we interact with the world, it's vastly different. I don't even know how to put this into words, but let me try. What gets taken out of the picture when we only think about non-duality is the experience of love, the experience of freedom, and embodied non-duality all of a sudden anchors back in that. I would suggest that the essence of consciousness isn't neutrality. The essence is love and peace and happiness. And if you want my deep dive into that, I have a whole different episode on why I think that is the case. But in this video, I'm just going to assume that's the way it is. So if the essence of the universe is love and peace and happiness, then when I connect with the universal oneness, what comes out of me is not null. It has not been like void of anything. No, the way it comes through, when it is not filtered by the thoughts of the separate self, it manifests as love, as peace, as joy. And living like that is vastly different than living from thinking that, oh, everything is just a dance of universal consciousness. I would say that living with that thought, living like that with that thought as guidance, that is in itself suffering. That is getting stuck in the absolute view. It's like the mind has caught hold of an idea, made it into the worldview, and then stayed there and applied the old emotional blueprint onto that. The full understanding of non-duality has not really seeped through our bodies, and definitely not through our hearts. Because if we allow it to do that, then the world is not void of meaning. It's abundant with meaning. Every little facet is radiating with meaning just by being. It's like there is a risk if we get stuck in the absolute. We claim that we live from that perspective. It's almost like we take it down to a level where it cannot really exist. In my everyday life, even if I've realized that consciousness is one, we're all this manifestation of universal oneness, I still have to live in the illusion of duality. And anyone who claims they don't, I don't believe that. We have to act within the illusion of duality. When I prepare my food, I have to separate the food from the plastic container. I have to act as though they are dual, because I need to feed this body. I have to operate within duality. When I speak about non-duality, I operate within a dual world. I operate as though there is a me speaking and as though there is a you listening. And it's pretty much impossible to live without operating in duality. Like, how would you feed yourself? How would you do your daily routines? You couldn't. It's like this saying, realizing oneness doesn't mean that Maya go away. It doesn't mean that the manifestation of the world disappears. We can still move in it as though it's separate, as though they're different entities. And even though the mind can make like ontological claims, like that there's nobody here and there's nothing to do, there's nothing to achieve. Yes, theoretically that's true, or I would agree to that. But that's not the way it is lived. Like, for instance, even people who claim non-duality from an intellectual standpoint, if they walk past someone who has fallen over with their bike and they're the only person around, they wouldn't say, oh, there's nobody here, there's no one who got hurt, I'm just going to keep on walking. I would bet that no one would do that. You would naturally respond. You would go up to this person and help out in whichever way you could. So even if you know that ultimately it's just a universal dance, we can still care about duality. We can play with it. We can interact with it. And one of the reasons I think that people want to stay on an intellectual level, keep flattening life, kind of coming with the answer that, oh, there's not really a you anyway. It doesn't matter that your marriage ended. You're all one anyway. Yes, ontologically true. But oneness wouldn't express that. Thought would express that. And if we make thoughts our God, well, then we're not living in non-duality. Then we are duality speaking about non-duality, speaking about oneness. It is not oneness speaking. It's not oneness speaking. It's not coming from the eternal wisdom. And for me personally, the last few years has been much more about embodiment. It took me quite a while before I even understood what this word means. Embodiment. Yes, I'm in the body. I mean, the body doesn't exist anyway. It's just sensations in consciousness. Yes, call it whatever you want. This thing that we point to when we say the word body. The embodied way to live non-duality is not so clean. It is not so controllable. It is like, I don't know, it's like a circus life, the circus of living in oneness, or at least that's what it's been like for me, because that means to remove certainty. That means to stop controlling. It means to actually check, am I projecting? Am I creating suffering for myself? Is there anything going on inside of me? Is there contraction? Is there stagnation? And that doesn't only mean on the meditation cushion. Oh no, definitely not. That's the practice room. That's where we practice the routine. That's what meditation is for. The real arena or the real playground is life itself. It's going to work. It's being out in traffic. It's having a relationship. Oh my. What gets triggered in you when your partner is, whatever your partner is doing, being human? It is so safe to revert back to saying, it's all one, no one's suffering, it's no problem. Yes, we can all do that. That's not so complicated. But to find your way back, where your whole inner life, oh, got a phone call there. The world as your playground. I got a bit caught off. But maybe that was just meant to come. So symbolic. The world doesn't play along with our mind's thoughts about non-duality. No, that's just the mind's thought about non-duality. That is not lived reality. That is not aliveness coming through you. That is not allowing for your creativity to come out in the world, for your sensuality, for your boundary protection as a localization. There is still an urge in this process to stay alive. And I would suggest that's like the life force itself. There is a force or like an unfolding that wants to keep exploring and wants to keep this body alive. Yes, it might be obscured sometimes by a state of mind that has different thoughts, that suppresses that force. But my experience is the natural life force wants to live. And when we theorize about non-duality, we make it into a mind's game. But we are not our mind. That's the essence of non-duality. You are not your mind, and I am not my mind. So to only experience non-duality in thought, we're missing the cake. It's way too safe to think non-duality. Living it. Oh my. Now we are in for a journey. And if you found this fascinating, maybe you are interested in my video about awakening of the heart. Because it's not an easy journey to start embodying non-duality. I've been on it for years. I'm still on it. I get lost in separation. I can speak non-duality pretty fluently. I can think non-duality in all the right words. But how do I show up in my relationships? How do I meet annoying people? Yeah. How do I handle economic distress? All of those things that are so deeply human that they almost don't belong in spirituality. But honestly, I think that's where life happens. That is where the teaching is actually unfolding. That is where all the ancient scriptures are actually pointing us to. Living it, being life. Yes. What are your thoughts on this? What has your journey been like? Thank you for joining me on this exploration, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, my friend.